somebody sitting outside this door here, and what we've got is we've got a door that just came apart, and you'll look up in here and you'll see how the framing is on it. And the typical issue with these is down here at the bottom they'll rot. What happens is water will get in behind here, and that's a solid aluminum piece, or it might even if it's perforated, it's with screws, and it'll rot behind that. In the lower piece that's inside here, right up inside, it will, the board will eventually come loose. Now, the main reason for that, of course, is people do not set up their trailers correctly, and the doors will hit. So it's very important to get your jacks very leveled with your trailer, or you're going to have this problem. Now, in our case, we're going to be taking the door loose. Now, sometimes you have to take the entire frame loose, but in our case, we have sets of hinges for the door and a set for the screen that's in it. So we're going to be able to pull this loose and get the door into the shop. So that we're going to go from here in there, and I'll show you what we're working with. All right, now things you're going to need for this job are the proper size lumber, which in my case is a 2x2 and a very straight one, and look for the least knots as possible for the section you'll cut out. The second thing you're going to need is to get some carburetor cleaner and wipe out all of the inside of there. Now notice there is foam in the door, so just put it on a rag and don't get into the foam too far, and clean all the aluminum parts. So you see that black stuff that come off the aluminum parts, that's glue and a little bit of paint. Then after that, of course, you're going to be using indoor-outdoor adhesive. Now the reason for this is you want to have every surface of that board right there glued, including to your what's called your bottom pan or your bottom seal. And you want to make sure you get that well glued. Don't spare any. The second thing is that also restricts any kind of water infiltration in the future. So what we got here is we're going to take and we're going to measure for our cut. And you want to be very accurate with the board you're going to use. So get it tight. And in my case, I am looking at 26, and I believe that is 5/8, 26 and 5/8 inches. So now the job is to cut this board here, and I'll show you the quick assembly and how you can get all this back together. And I know a lot of RVs have this problem, and using the project adhesive and sparing none, you can clean it up afterwards, is exactly how to stop it in the future. And if you've got one that's just starting to get loose, take it apart now and get it solved. All right, now heavily doped up with the adhesive, exterior, interior, and I've got it in both sides there. Strip of it all the way inside, heavily around, and you can see there's just a little bit of rot in here. And what I'll do is I'll put some heavily in here, and that's for the tensioning screw to square the door. So I'll put some in here when I get ready for that. As it sits now, this is just a all-weather adhesive that we're going to push up and into the foam, and the rest of it will push itself out as we tighten everything up. So we're just going to work it in slowly, like so, and getting a brand new board. And you can take these whole doors apart. There's rows of screws or fasteners along the doors, and you can take this whole frame apart and slide it off of here, take the skin off, and rebuild the whole frame in these doors. It's really not hard for people who have doors that are all wobbly. Look for a video that I'm going to do pretty soon where I'm going to take a door that's just basically trashed, and I'm going to show you how quick and easy you can rebuild the whole door, structure and all, even all of these curves, and how you can redo them. And it's going to be something that's going to save you a lot of money, because this door here is about a $300 door if you have to go buy it. Now, one of the things that we're going to finish up doing here is we're going to tap that into place and match it with the bottom of the metal and where all the wood, because the metal you can see here is a little off, and we're going to match it from the flat point here and the flat point there to where we have an exact base. And then we're going to put the adhesive down here also on both sides of that, so when it encapsulates, it'll be in the metal. We'll clean it up with a little carburetor cleaner, and it's going to look very nice when we're done, very solid. Okay, so now the new piece of wood is in. The adhesive is thoroughly planted in here. And you want to use the constructive multi-purpose so it'll grab to aluminum. And if any of you have any troubles like removing that board, or maybe you knock it in too far, you'll take you a wood screw and put it in and then use it to pull with. Or if you have a double layer of wood and you can't get the inner one out, use a wood screw, reach in and look for hidden brads or staples to get those out, to get the wood out. So now our next step is we're going to put a bead of that adhesive in this rail here on both sides. And when we put this back on, it's got places for hidden screws. We'll be using screws to go back in it, and the door will be complete, giving it a few hours to set up. The door laid on a very flat, perfect surface. You don't want your door leaning or jarred any way at all. And even if it still has its frame on it, you can do this. So this is not a hard job to do. To repair your door, be sure to get carburetor cleaner to clean the aluminum, and that helps open the pores of the adhesive that might still be in there and cleans it out of the aluminum and freshens that up so it sticks to it very well. All right, so now we have the bottom half of the door doped up real nice with the adhesive, and all we're going to do is we're going to take it in here and we're going to look for the existing alignment marks. You'll find them on yours, and the hardest part is to get that door on there. So I'm going to go ahead and work with putting that on there, but you'll see how it goes together, and you'll have screw holes usually below your gasket there that you're going to put some screws into, and these are just number 6s. Not too hard of an assembly, and it'll all go together nicely, and your door will work again and be rigid. So I'll get all this put together and show you the finished product there. There we go, we are fixed. We are fixed like brand new. I got my border collie attack coming out here to get me, and what I did is I also put some brass screws. I drilled in slightly a bit of an angle and got into the new wood, and I did this around the whole door, including increasing the length of the screws, fixed my hardware that might have needed to be tightened up. Good time to service your door. So all around here, little screws that went in there and some more in the rim. Usually you'll see that the screws are only about that long. You can take them out and go 1/4 inch longer and tighten this frame up real nice. Dip them in some of that project adhesive and shoot them back in, and they'll be a lot nicer and a lot tighter. So let's get this door mounted on, and we're going to see how well the frame works out with all new hardware and with the piece glued back on. And we're going to do a little tweaking to get the corners right once we get it installed. But here we go, RV door repaired, not bought new. All right, back out here, I've left a sheet over the door, and this RV's hooked up full time for someone to stay in, but you can see where screws have been hitting, and that door panel when it was coming loose. When you start seeing that, man, act on it immediately and deal with it. So here is the type of hinges this one has. So they're not difficult to deal with, but some of them have a big ribbon hinge. You'll have to pull the entire door. Same process, not too hard. So we're going to get this door mounted back on there, and you'll see how well it clears and works. All right, now guys, you can see that the door is back together and complete. And you know, being that it's probably 25, 30-year-old door, not too bad. The condition came out all right. This is how you fix them when you don't want to buy a new one. $300 is easy to save this week.